Hello and good morning. Welcome back to Stone Town in Zanzibar. I took the ferry from Dar es Salaam yesterday, and this is the view from my balcony of the historic streets down below. I am staying here at the Zanzibar Palace Hotel in the Sultana Suite. This is my gorgeous room, and in this video I'm going to be exploring the historic alleys, palaces, markets full of spices and cafes, some of the food, and in general soaking up what is a fascinating cultural crossroads between Africa, Arabia, India, Persia, Portuguese influences, some British too, with post offices dotted around. So tons of culture, a massive blend, beautiful architecture. It's all UNESCO recognized. I love the hotel, how it blends in with the aesthetic of Stone Town. I will leave the link in the video description if you're interested in staying here. There are also some other rooms with just as good views, if not better than this room. One's stretching out to the back of the hotel where you can see the port towards where I arrived, and then also some others slightly higher up with also some great views, and highly recommended with good breakfast and very friendly staff. So right now, let's head out into Stone Town's narrow lanes and get this video started. Here we are. It is hot already at 10 a.m. in the morning. I probably could have left a little bit earlier, but there you go. Now, the name Zanzibar actually represents an archipelago of more than 50 islands. It is not just one big island. And the name of this particular island, the biggest one, is Unguja, but some people just refer to it as Zanzibar Island. My plan first, as there is many things to do, and quite honestly, just getting lost in the streets is probably the best thing you can do here. But as a target, I'm heading towards Darajani Market, which is full of the goods that has represented Zanzibar as a place, as an epicenter of trade in the past. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Venice, just without the canals. And although Zanzibar is, or Stone Town even, is touristy in some ways because it is so popular with many visitors, and you'll find things like this everywhere, there is still lots of glimpses into the day-to-day routine and life that goes on here as you pass locals going about their daily business in many of the streets. So it's an interesting one where tourists merge with locals. As you can see, people just handcrafting wood, for example, the beautiful doorways that are synonymous with Zanzibar. It's okay. Wow, look at this place. I won't pry too much, but you can have a general idea. Benches are also dotted around. Now, the doorways of Stone Town are probably the most famous aspect of its architecture. These Just beautiful, intricate wooden patterns along many of the doorways. Some of them are centuries old and others are just decades old. It's kind of depending on the building, and there are still people hand carving these doors even today. So it just depends, but many of them you'll find Arabic on the top. Some of the ones that are Indian in style have these markers, which traditionally were to prevent elephants rubbing or bashing against the doors. Let's press on and try and find this market amongst the maze of streets here. Colorful threads. I can smell fresh fish, and it looks like this is the covered part of the market or bazaar. Let's take a look. It's going to be interesting. Okay, so this is the fish market. Some octopus there. Let's head through. You can imagine the strong smell. I headed here first because I thought probably the morning is the best time to hit the market, as opposed to when it quietens down in the afternoon. Mostly locals in here. I don't see many tourists, so it seems to be the place to come to grab your meat, your fish. From the meat section, I am seeing lots of spices here in packets. Perhaps some stores will have them stacked like they do in Arabia and in Turkey. Fresh vegetables, garlic, potatoes, onions, carrots, some huge mangoes. This here is the baobab fruit, I believe, before it gets the sweet and chili added to it. Alright, thank you. As everywhere, you'll find cinnamon, black pepper, coffee as well. Yeah.
Bigger one, smaller one.
Hibiscus.
Yeah.
Thank you. Huge mangoes. As with the fact that Zanzibar has so many spices, you can do spice tours here. Now, I don't think I have time because I've only got a couple of days and I want to show the beaches in the next video. Maybe I will go, or probably next time pay a visit to one of the spice farms. It's kind of a day trip from Stone Town, or perhaps the north or east side of the island, but worth visiting if you can get there, because it plays an important role, of course, in Zanzibar's history, the spices, and also its cuisine. It's coffee, it's tea, they add spices to everything. Look at the size of these avocados. That is insane. I could go on and on walking around this market area because it is so fascinating and I love markets. This video is going to end up being an hour long and there's so much else to see here in just Stone Town alone. So I will get cracking and start showing you some other different places here in Zanzibar's largest city. I'm not sure where the market begins and ends, but it seems to spill out across the streets surrounding it. And then we morph from spices to children's toys and utilities, it looks like, on this street. Okay. Shoes, prayer mat, these hats, which you see many of the local men wearing, are called the Bargashia, named after the former Sultan of Zanzibar. It is a very common sight to see them worn by most of the local men here. Many with different colors and intricate patterns, such as this man to my left or this man here. Okay, trying one on. How's it look? How much do you charge for one of these? 22,000. 15,000. Okay, all right. So 15,000, he quoted me for the slightly cheaper one, which is just under £5 or around probably $7 US, something like that. Nice little memento. The intensity of the heat at this time of day means most people are taking refuge in the shade. Even by this busy road, there's always stuff on sale. So this here is the Anglican Cathedral, the first of its kind in East Africa, built by the British, but it is prominent and a must visit in my opinion for the fact that it is situated on the site of the former slave market. Inside the cathedral, the altar marks the spot where slaves were whipped by a tree, which is the same species as this one, with a stinging branch. And just over there, there is a memorial showing 5 slaves with collars around their necks, chained together, shoulders slumped forward, to mark the spot where this happened, the center of it, at Zanzibar. Now, most of the slaves who were taken from the interior of Africa and reached Zanzibar, the ones that survived, many died along the way, the majority were shipped to Oman to work on plantations, or perhaps to work on clove plantations here in Zanzibar itself. Many women were sold as concubines and many men served as eunuchs. It was eventually ended by the British, ironically, because we're the ones that started the slave trade in around the 16th century, I believe. But there is also a chamber in this building.
This was for the 50 men, 50, while the other one was for the 75 women and children. Slaves were kept in these chambers for 2 to 3 days without being given enough food, enough water, while this floor was used as a toilet meant for pee and poo. No light. Even this small layer of cement wasn't there, but it was high like this, very rough. they used to lie one on top of the other. Sometimes they were sitting while they were squeezed. So it's for all 50 to fit in this chamber and for the 75 to fit in the other chamber. Most of them were died in here due to shortage of water, shortage of food, suffocation, and diseases. They were taken from East and Central African countries to this place. Then from here, most of them to Oman. It was very few to America, West Indies, and Caribbean.
Famine, disease, starvation, weakness, beatings. There were many horrible ways to die as a slave, and it's a very dark part of the history. And ironically, a lot of Stone Town is actually built by slaves. Many of those beautiful Omani doors were crafted by men who were artisans, but slave artisans. So the history is dark, but one that is worth remembering, and this is a place that is certainly worth a visit. I'm now heading for lunch. The Lookman Swahili restaurant is one I have targeted. Mambo. Look at that. Apparently they don't have a menu, you just point at what you'd like. I don't mind the sound of that. Seems like there's a lot going on. Exotic fruit, curries and potato there, some stuff frying away. The size of those prawns. Okay, so honestly, I didn't know what to order. I just wanted to try something different. So the banana curry really caught my attention. I'm not sure what else is in there. And then I've got this crispy naan looking bread, and then this apparently is fish. So let's see how I get on with these. So I'm really liking the taste of the curry sauce. Almost reminds me of like something from Malaysia or India, except I'm a bit uncertain what this is. I believe it could be stomach, but I'm really not 100% sure. But the banana goes quite nicely. Finishing off with a fresh mango juice here. They have everything to choose from. Avocado, banana, passion fruit. So post-lunch I am after my fix of coffee, and so here is the Zanzibar coffee house. I'm assuming they'll have some good stuff. So as well as being a coffee house, this is also a hotel. I'm heading to the rooftop. Hopefully there'll be some good views. So here are the views at the top of Zanzibar Coffee House. You can see the skyline of Stone Town all around, and in keeping with tradition, I have gone with the spiced coffee. I believe it has cardamom and cinnamon. I'm not sure what else they've put in there. I've got my black, but obviously you can add milk. But more than just some of the best coffee in town, you'll also get some of the best views, and it's the perfect place to see the rooftops, the spires of the churches and the minarets of the mosques during some of the hotter afternoon hours. right in front of the ferry port where I arrived from Dar es Salaam yesterday is one of the waterfront's most iconic buildings, the old Dispensary. And it was built by an Ismaili Indian merchant. This recognizable peppermint kind of facade. This merchant was in fact the advisor to the Sultan of Zanzibar and also banker to Tipu Tip, one of Zanzibar's most notorious slave traders. From here now, I'm going to walk along the front to one more location, the old fort, which overlooks some gardens, and after it turns to nighttime, there will be some food, hopefully, and some activity with the locals. And we'll also get a view of the Indian Ocean for the first time. I've kept it relatively hidden in this video because it's all about Stone Town and the streets and the alleys. We'll see a lot more of the beaches of Zanzibar in the next one when I head north to Nungwi. Away from the ferry port and making my way towards Adani Gardens, which is a good place to catch sunset. We are facing northwest here. There are a lot of grand buildings on the seafront. So I've just come out of the old fort there, built by the Omani Arabs after they seized Zanzibar from the Portuguese in 1698. And I have to admit, it's really disappointing. You can only just look at souvenirs at the very bottom and it's all inhabited by people selling things, and I think it could be a lot better. So this is now Adani Gardens, a social hub of Stone Town by the sea. Fish market restaurant here. The sun setting over there. And it looks as if there is some street food or stalls in this direction. All the locals hanging about, jumping into the water. Drenched from head to toe. In he goes. Now I've heard this all picks up a bit more at night time, but already there is quite a lot going on. I am pretty hungry, so I think I will pick something up for now and then maybe I'll have dinner or something else later, I'm not sure. Hi, Mambo. One shawarma please. Thank you. So I've picked up a shawarma here for 2,500 Tanzanian shillings, and I did have a shawarma in my Mombasa street food video, but it was part of the footage that I then lost. The shawarma that I did have was amazing. I'm just looking at the other stuff in front of me here. All sorts of snacks and skewers, even octopus and squid, chips there. Looks good. I might come back for some of that later. I've got to say, this is really good. The chicken has a kind of tandoori flavor. There's some cucumber in there. The sauce is really nice. And chips as well. Techers. First glimpses of the sand and the beach here in Zanzibar, but in Stone Town you can still find, of course, beaches and places to swim even. It's really nice just to see all the people having fun. So now back here at the hotel with some Kilimanjaro tea. Drinking it the British and Tanzanian way with some milk added. Probably a bit too much milk there, but that's okay. Here in Africa they like the tea pretty milky. This is the hotel bar of Zanzibar Palace, and I'm going to end this video here. So I hope you enjoyed this tour of Stone Town, and tomorrow I'm heading north on the island to Nungwi, so we'll be seeing the bluest water, I'm told, on the archipelago. Let's see how true that is, and until then, cheers.